103.7 KISS FM presents JMAT's Social Club, a radio.com podcast.
Happy whatever day of the week it is that you are listening to the second episode of JMAT's Social Club. Today's topic is on Instagram hashtags, and our guest is Tia, better known as Iowa Girl Adventures, but recently changed her name to Midwest Girl Adventures on Instagram. Why the transition?
I started a blog 6 months ago,
Okay.
MidwestGirlAdventures.com. And because of that and the fact that I've now lived in Milwaukee for 5 years, I'm no longer living in Iowa, so it was a little bit confusing. So those couple things I decided to change
And
to
it's a
reflect
broader
it's
category.
Yeah, right. I get a lot of confusion when I'm at events, like hashtag. And
Yep.
if you're like, you came all the way from Iowa? No, I came from down the street, but yes.
Iowa Street, right? No, that would be cool.
Yes,
You
Iowa
should
Street.
find a place that's called
Yes.
Iowa Street
I
or
should.
Iowa
Then I
Avenue.
wouldn't have had to change my Instagram handle.
Yep. So on the topic of Instagram hashtags, where do you want to start?
Do we want to start out with what are hashtags? I mean,
Sure.
there
I
could be
think that's
people
a
here.
good introduction part.
Yeah,
of it.
I just feel like there could be people here. We want to have a broad audience. So
Definitely.
there are people that may have not started an Instagram account yet, or just getting started and want to know how to use them and what they are exactly. So.
Exactly. How would you define a
So
hashtag?
I would define a hashtag as a way to categorize your content and to allow your content to be searched.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I think that's a great explanation of a hashtag. It's the little pound symbol.
Yes.
You can't really see this unless you're watching the video, but there's the pound symbol
Yes.
that precedes a keyword, and it can be an individual word or a grouping of a phrase into one without any spaces.
Yes.
That's
For instance, your hat.
my hat is hashtag MKE. That is
Yes.
true.
There you go.
Yep.
So that's what hashtags are.
And let's see, can you put multiple hashtags in a row? So like you can put a space out, but can you end one letter, put a new hashtag, no space, and will it be active?
To be honest, I have not tried the no space in between the
Yeah.
hashtags. Have you?
I'm pretty sure it works.
It works. Okay.
I don't think it
know
looks
on that.
very visually
'Cause
appealing.
I have not done it because
Yeah.
I always put spaces in between words in general, so
Yep.
I don't see why I wouldn't for hashtags.
For styling for hashtags, if you are using multiple words in one hashtag, do you like to capitalize the first letter of each word?
I don't because
Okay.
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, but it makes
Yeah.
it easier to read as a hashtag.
It does make it easier to read. That's true. Maybe I should start doing that. Then, I
That's
guess.
my
You're
personal preference.
bringing
but
something up to me that I haven't done before, so maybe I'll try
There
doing
we
that.
go. All right. So, how many hashtags do you think someone should use in a post on Instagram?
Okay, so you can use up to 30 hashtags
Correct.
and count and recount before you post those because it won't let you post if you post more than 30 at a time.
Yep.
I personally use 30,
Mhm.
but the way I do it is different than the typical posting your hashtags on a post, and I can talk more about that now or later.
Yeah.
But I typically use 30, and I find that works best for me. I've tried recently with all of the algorithm changes to do less than 30, and I don't really see. I see
Right.
better, have better visibility with the 30.
I think a large reason for using 30, because I'm the same way. I use 30 hashtags with my content for the radio station, for personal, and for any other account that I manage. Hashtags are all about discoverability.
Right.
So if you use one hashtag, you are eliminating yourself to be discovered by either people that follow you or that one individual hashtag.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from that, you mentioned earlier too, with the 30 hashtags, in a comment, make sure you have the right number. You also have to, and I know you know this, but for the listener, you have to accommodate the fact that you might have put some in your caption. So if you
Right.
put one hashtag up in your caption and you want to put 30 hashtags in your comment, now you've got 31. It
Mhm.
counts for both, no matter how you choose to
Yeah.
do your hashtagging.
So that's why it's really important to count because it won't let you post more than 30.
Yep.
And like you were saying, I can describe how I do my hashtags. I post, long story of how I do it is I find the hashtags that I want to use.
Yep.
Then I put them in a note on my phone.
Mhm.
I have an Apple, and so that there's a notes app that I write them all out. And so I put 30 in, and then this is getting nitpicky and
Yeah, go
complicated,
for
but
it.
I put periods and then a return key. So there's a period on each line for like at least 9 lines.
Yeah.
And then I will take that, copy it, and then after I post after I do the post and share it, immediately after I post those hashtags, because otherwise it won't link up very fast, because hashtags are timed too. There's time sensitive.
Yeah.
So you have to do it immediately. Don't like wait half an hour to post
Right.
hashtags. Otherwise your hashtags won't be shown up front, up to the top of the list. So you want to do it if you're going to do it the way I do it, do it very quickly.
Yep.
And the reason why I do it the way I do is because I don't want it to look spammy.
Yeah.
So
I was
I
going to
don't
ask because
like.
you said you have all the 9 periods or something
Yes,
to push it down.
and so that blocks it off, so it doesn't. So when the comment shows up, it just shows up as a couple dots. It doesn't
Yeah.
show up as all of the hashtags when
Okay.
you're looking at my post.
That makes sense.
So it eliminates all the spam factor of I have 30 hashtags and all of that.
Right. Do you change the order of your hashtags based on usage?
I tried this.
Okay.
I think you and I talked about this a few weeks ago. I tried doing that. Are you talking about based on like how many?
For example, if a hashtag is used 100,000 times versus 1,000 times, do you put the more popular one at the top or the bottom?
So I tried doing it at the top.
Yep.
For a couple posts, and I had no difference
Okay.
between
Hashtag order doesn't seem to matter.
Right. That's
Okay.
from what my experience is, and I feel like this is all speculation for Instagram because
I think a lot of it is.
it truly is. Nobody knows what the Instagram algorithm. Nobody knows what the Instagram gods want.
And once you think you figured it out, it changes. Yep.
Yes. So this is. I apologize if this doesn't work for everyone. But
Well, that's a whole thing in Instagram and social media in general. What we're suggesting could work, but you could find something completely different. What we're more or less offering with this episode is a starting point.
Right.
If you are brand new to hashtags and Instagram, try some of these examples, see if they work for you, and then test, because every individual has a different audience and a different niche, and you just have to be testing constantly to see what does work best for you.
Yeah. And so how do you find your hashtags?
There's 2 different ways. You can either use your phone and use the Instagram app, and you go to the search, and you can do hashtag, start typing in part of a keyword, and it'll auto-populate a bunch of suggestions. It'll say how many people use it. I personally like to use my desktop. It's a little bit easier. It's a little bit more robust, and I can see more suggestions that way. But both results are a little different. If you go on the app and you select, let's say, hashtag Milwaukee, it will come up with related hashtags for you.
That's on the app on the phone.
On the app. But
Okay.
I feel like when I type in hashtag, let's say Milwaukee, if I start going MILW on the desktop, it might give me things that come before Milwaukee, not just
Really?
after it. Yeah, it's happened
I
a
have
couple
not
times.
done it on desktop ever. I mean,
Yep.
I will type my hashtags out sometimes on my laptop just so I can be faster at typing them than with my thumbs, and then I'll send it to myself. It's such a long process.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll do that. But I haven't looked at Instagram to find hashtags from
Desktop?
the desktop. So
Yeah.
do you post then from your laptop? Do you post?
Everything's
posts?
posted from the app. Because
From
you
the
can,
app,
they have
not-
the website on the desktop that you can view the content
Oh, you
for.
can't post from that?
I don't
See,
think
that's
so.
how much I know about
You
it.
can
I don't know
do
very much.
the only thing that you can post on your desktop, from my understanding, is IGTV episodes that are longer than 10 minutes.
Okay, that's interesting.
And you can only post episodes of IGTV that are longer than 10 minutes if you have a check mark. From my
Okay.
understanding
Okay.
of it.
Okay.
Otherwise, it has to be under 10 minutes. And you can do it from your app.
Have you ever gone to a website to find hashtags?
I know there's options for it.
Yeah.
There's like Hashtagify and a couple
There
others.
are a bunch of different options. I found out about a website actually from listening to an Instagram podcast, like a fully like Instagram podcast, and they recommended all-hashtag.com.
Okay.
So I've tried that a couple times, and it actually works pretty well to find hashtags associated with what you're looking for. So say like I'm looking at hashtag Milwaukee, it will come up with like Milwaukee photographer, Milwaukee photography, and I'll have all of it listed out. It will list out 30 for you, so you can copy those and paste them into your Instagram post. rather than typing them all out. That's an option for people too.
Yeah.
And they sort them by you could do random, or you can do top, or I think there's another category as well on that website. But you can search it through different ways and find hashtags that are more unique that way.
Okay. How often do you do your research?
How often do I research through
Hashtags.
that website?
Well, just in
or
general, that website or on the app, on the
through
desktop.
the app, just like looking to see how
yeah.
many.
How often do you refresh your hashtags? that you use?
When they stop getting me where I want to be, I'll look into why are these hashtags not as fruitful as they were before. But I usually alternate hashtags. Like I have groupings of hashtags that I'll use for different things. Like if I'm posting a food post, it'll be more food related. Milwaukee, I have a bunch of Milwaukee hashtags, but there are some constants that I always use. I always use hashtag Iowa Girl Adventures, hashtag Midwest Girl Adventures, and those hashtags are just full of my photos only.
Yeah.
Nobody else like a couple people have used them, but not very many. But I'll look probably every couple months to see what's going on with the hashtags, but I'm generally not super in tune to like exactly how what their number is at any point in time.
For me, I do the 22 push-up challenge, and I use the same 25 hashtags since I started doing it. And I monitor my analytics regularly to see if I'm still getting people discovering my content through the hashtags. And 60% of people find me through the hashtags.
Really?
And I only change up 5 on any given day. So I would say if you find the right hashtags for you and you have 30 of them, you don't necessarily need to change them up as long as those hashtags are still relevant with the content that you're putting out.
There are people that say that you can get shadow banned for using the hashtags every single time you post, which in your case, that doesn't seem to be
I don't believe
what
in shadow banning.
happens. Oh,
it
it definitely
don't.
happens.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It either hasn't happened to me.
It
or,
has happened to me.
And maybe it has, but I just don't notice it.
Yeah, I could show you a post that I had like a month ago where I posted used hashtags that I have typically used before. It's actually what do you call them? The revolving ones, the one where it has 2 photos.
Carousels?
Carousel. It was a carousel post, and it picked up 18 from the 18 people it reached from that 30 hashtags, which I just don't know how that would have happened otherwise.
Now, I said I use the same ones every time. I'm not saying every single time I post with those same ones it blows up, but I have enough where it works. Like, not every single post that you do is going to blow up because sometimes it's the content itself that people just might not be interested in.
Yeah, no, I totally understand, but I think this is a separate situation with. I don't use the same hashtags every time, but for whatever reason, that day when I used those hashtags, I only got a reach of 18.
Have you
people.
tried to reuse some of those hashtags, or are you just intimidated now because you think some of them are shadow banned?
I haven't used them because it's odd because I still had the same amount of people. Same amount of reach in general. It was just reach from hashtags was 18 rather than usually my reach. It can be anywhere 500 to thousands.
Yep.
So I'm not sure what happened at that exact post, but I still had the same amount of reach.
Yep.
Which is weird because it was reach from people that followed me only.
Wow.
Instagram is weird.
The algorithm is constantly changing, and just when you think you figured it out,
I know.
Boom, here's your surprise.
Yes.
We have mentioned a couple times now where we check to see how the hashtags are performing. And for those that don't know, how do we check to see the analytics around hashtags?
So correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to have a business account.
Correct.
Okay. So, and from that business account, you can go to your analytics and see how you're doing with all of that. And you can see from every post that you've made how much reach you get from the hashtags themselves. So it will show exactly.
On each individual post. Yep. Awesome.
Can you do that from a private Instagram?
I assume as long as it's a business account. I don't know if you can have a private business. I haven't really explored it that far.
Because I have a public business account, so I'm not sure.
The question is then, because I've had this debate, if you have a business account or a personal account, if you choose to switch to business, does the Instagram algorithm push your content down? Does it hide it more than if you just left it as a personal account, but you would miss out on all the analytics?
Yeah. I don't know.
What do you
That's
think?
hard. Do I think that Instagram does that?
Yeah.
Probably. They just
I believe they might.
anything that you question if Instagram is doing this because y equals X or whatever,
Right.
that's possible. I feel. I mean,
Right.
it's so unpredictable. And I thought, I went 2 years really feeling like I knew what was going on. And like last June, they did a big change on things. And ever since then, it's been really
Yeah.
hard to get back up and figure things out again.
Yep. For those that are listening to the debate between the personal and the business accounts, I still think it's valuable to do the business account just because you get analytics that are irreplaceable. They're just
Yes.
such great information to help improve your content.
And it really depends on what you want to do with your business account too. Like, is it a brick and mortar business that you have, or is it someone like me who I'm content creator? So, what I use the business analytics for is to tell people that I'm working with for anything freelance, this is how many followers I have. This is my reach on a typical post. These are the analytics behind my Instagram profile. So that's what it's helpful for. So
Awesome.
if you're interested in doing that, then a business account is where you're going to get that.
Okay. I've got one last question before we wrap up. You mentioned earlier that you use hashtag Iowa Girl Adventures, hashtag Midwest Girl Adventures, and you have ownership over it. How do you determine what hashtags you should own and if you can own them?
So you can just look up hashtags. Anything can be a hashtag.
Right.
Anything can be a hashtag. So I don't know if I would say that I own those hashtags. It's just they aren't utilized by many people. So
Yep.
I guess technically it's mostly my content that's on them. So really you can just look up whatever you want to look up. And I'm sure there's probably hashtags out there that have not been discovered.
Yep.
So I just start using them as your hashtag, and you can even promote it on, if you want other people to use it or other people to search it out, you can put it up on your profile too.
What would you say is the benefit of having a hashtag that other people haven't used yet that now you have quote unquote ownership over?
So if somebody searches that hashtag, then it's going to be your content and that they're going to see yours up front and then go to your profile and say, oh, it's this person who's posting all these photos. That's what I would use it for. What do you say?
I would agree with that. You are trying to make it easier for people to find content related to that specific hashtag. And if you do your research and you're able to find ones that are, in my opinion, under 1,000 posts and hasn't been posted to within the last 6 to 12 months, you could easily take that up because other people aren't using it.
Yeah.
And you're basically creating a community around the hashtag.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah.
So I think that's about all the time that we have for this episode of JMAT Social Club.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thanks for having me.
And if you, the listener, would like to catch up on previous episodes or find out where the new episodes are, you can always go to 1037kissfm.com or use the radio.com app. Thanks for listening.